Help! Thieves! Somebody help me! Two men had cornered a woman, trying to snatch her purse. People scattered, too afraid to intervene. But Angela, weak and small as she was, could not stand by. She leapt up, grabbed a broken bottle from the ground, and rushed forward with a scream. The woman, though a stranger, turned a miracle that changed her life. But how did Angela, a promising child with loving parents, find herself sleeping under the bridge and begging for survival? If you're new here, welcome to the Story Empire, where real-life tales reshape how you see the world. Please help us grow by giving this story a thumbs up and leaving a comment below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so more people can discover stories like this one. They say a child's laughter is the echo of heaven. And in a small village wrapped between green hills and a winding river, one such laughter belonged to a girl named Angela. Her parents, Papa Eze and Mama Nkem, adored her with all the love that two hearts could pour into one child. Angela was not just a daughter to them. She was the promise of tomorrow. Papa Eze, a farmer known for his wisdom, often declared, "The child who learns to read one day will feel those who till." Mama Nkem, a trader with hands hardened by market struggles, never failed to remind her, "Your tongue must defend the weak, Angela. Let your words be stronger than fists." At Obodo Primary School, Angela was the girl who sat in the front row, wide-eyed, her hand always in the air. She loved debates. When other children hesitated to speak, Angela's voice rang clear. Her classmates whispered her name as though she carried a kind of magic. Even the headmaster, a stern man with a cane that cracked like thunder, smiled and said, "This one will stand in court, not market. Mark my words." Angela did not just shine in class. On cultural days, she danced with the other children, her small feet stamping the red earth in rhythm with the drums. Her laughter was a rhythm of its own, chasing away the worries of anyone who heard it. At home, life was simple but rich in love. Their compound was filled with banana trees, a clay kitchen where Mama Nkem cooked steaming pots of yam pottage, and a small hut where Papa stored his hoes and cutlasses. At night, when the moon bathed the village in silver, Papa told folktales under the mango tree. He told stories of the tortoise who thought himself wise but always ended in trouble, of the bird who borrowed feathers and forgot to return them, and of warriors who rose from dust because their mothers prayed for them. Angela always listened with shining eyes, interrupting with questions like, "Papa, but why didn't the tortoise just say the truth? Papa, could a bird really borrow feathers?" Papa would laugh and say, "Child, folktales are not lies. They are wisdom wearing marks. One day, you will understand." Angela's dream was already clear. She wanted to be a lawyer. She had once seen one in the village square, dressed in a black robe, speaking with fire in his tongue and silence in his eyes. He defended a poor widow whose land had been snatched by greedy relatives. That night, Angela had whispered to her mother, "Mama, one day I will wear that robe. I will speak for those who cannot. I will not let the poor suffer." But as the elders say, when the sun shines through brightly, the rain gathers its strength. The day before her parents' final journey, the family sat together. They laughed, they ate roasted corn, and they spoke of the future. Papa Eze had plans to extend the farm. Mama Nkem spoke of saving money to buy Angela more books. Angela herself was excited about a coming school debate where she was to argue that justice was the heart of any society. But as they laughed, the wind shifted strangely. The night birds called earlier than usual. The flame in the lamp flickered as though troubled by something unseen. And an old woman passing their compound muttered, "When the drum beat changes, the dancers must prepare." No one paid attention. The next morning, Papa and Mama prepared for a short journey to the next village. They promised to be back before sunset. Angela ran after them. As they stepped onto the narrow road, "Papa, Mama, don't forget to buy me a new pen," she shouted, waving with both hands. Her mother smiled. Her father raised his hand in blessing, and their figures grew smaller and smaller against the horizon. Angela waited. She hummed songs. She played with her slate. She rehearsed her debate under the mango tree. She waited until the sun bled into the horizon. She waited until the crickets sang their nightly chorus, but her parents never returned. They say, when death comes, it does not knock at the door, it breaks it down. That evening, in the small village of Umife, the air was heavy though the sky was clear. Angela waited at the compound gate, her small feet tapping the earth, her eyes scanning the narrow path that led to the next village. She was waiting for the familiar voices, the laughter of her parents returning from their trip. But instead of laughter, she heard whispers. Instead of footsteps, she saw shadows gathering, and instead of her parents, it was the village head's messenger who appeared. His face grave like a man carrying thunder in his chest. Angela, he said, avoiding her eyes. Call the elders. Something has happened. The elders gathered quickly. Neighbors pressed close. Angela's heart pounded like the organ drum. Then the words fell, words that shattered her world. Your parents, they did not return. Their carts overturned near the bridge. The river claimed them both. The sound of wailing rose instantly, women throwing dust on their heads, men shaking their heads in sorrow, but Angela heard nothing. Her ears closed, her small hands trembled. She whispered to herself, "No, Papa said he would buy me a pen. Mama promised to help me with my debates. They cannot. But reality does not soften because of tears. In African tradition, the dead are never truly gone until the earth has swallowed them and the living have sung their names. The next days were a blur of mourning, the compound filled with relatives, villagers and friends. Drums beat low, women wailed. Angela sat still, her eyes dry. People whispered that she was too shocked to cry, but inside, her heart was bleeding rivers. When the bodies of Papa Eze and Mama Nkem were lowered into the earth, Angela clutched the hem of her dress. She wanted to scream, to leap into the grave with them, to beg them to take her along. But instead, she heard her father's voice in her memory. A bird that refuses to fly will be trampled. She knew she had to leave, even if her word was broken. After the dust settled and the last mourners left, the silence of the compound became unbearable. No more Papa folktales under the mango tree. No more Mama's warm voice calling her name. The house became a hollow shell, echoing with memories. Angela was only 12, too young to live alone, too young to fend for herself, and so the elders gathered again and decided she would go to her uncle, Obi. Uncle Obi was Papa Eze's younger brother. He lived in a neighboring town with his wife and 2 children. He would take care of her, the elders said. Blood is blood. But as the elders say, not every blood is kin, and not every kin is kind. Angela carried her small box of clothes and a bundle of books. When she arrived, her uncle welcomed her with open arms. "Ah, my daughter, you are safe here. Do not cry again. This is your home now." His wife, Chioma, smiled faintly, but her eyes were sharp, measuring Angela as one might measure a stray goat brought into the compound. At first, life seemed bearable. Angela was given a small mat to sleep on, meals to eat, and chores to do. She thought perhaps, despite her loss, she would still grow and still dream. But little did she know that grief was only the first shadow. Another darker shadow was waiting for her. A few weeks later, when school resumed, Angela woke up early, dressed in her uniform, and prepared her books. But her hand stopped her at the door. "Where do you think you are going?" Auntie Chioma asked. "To school, Mama," Chioma, Angela replied softly. The woman's face hardened. "School? You think life is about sitting and writing? We need hands in this house. You will stay home today." Angela's heart fell, but she obeyed. One day became 2. 2 became a week. Finally, her uniform was folded away, and instead of school bags, she was given a tray. "Take these oranges to the market. Sell everything before you return," Auntie Chioma commanded. Angela's dream of becoming a lawyer began to crumble piece by piece. As she walked the dusty streets with her tray, she whispered to herself, "I will not give up." But hope, though strong, was like a candle in the wind. At night, when she lay on the mat, Angela prayed silently. She remembered her mother's words, "Education is the staff of life. Never let it fall from your hands." She vowed in her heart, "Even if I have to climb mountains, I will hold on to that staff." But as the elders say, the chick that strays too far from the mother hen becomes prey for the hawk, and already hawks of faith already circled above her. One evening, as Angela returned from hawking, exhausted and hungry, she paused to watch children in uniform laughing on their way home from school. She touched the books hidden in her small box, her eyes brimming with tears. Then a sharp voice caught through the air. It was her aunt, standing at the gate. "Angela, hurry inside, useless girl. Tomorrow you will carry more than oranges. Tomorrow you will know that dreams do not feed the stomach." Angela's heart clenched. The words pierced deeper than any whip. She looked at the skies, her eyes searching the stars, and whispered, "Mama, Papa, if you can see me, please do not let my dream die." And in the distance, thunder rolled, as if the heavens themselves were mourning with her. If you are still watching this story, take a moment to support us. Give this story a thumbs up, share it with someone who loves powerful African tales, and hit the subscribe button so you won't miss more stories that inspire and transform lives. They say the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. For many months, Angela carried trays of oranges, groundnuts, and sometimes roasted plantain through the market streets. Her feet grew calloused, her shoulders bent under the weight, but her spirit, though wounded, still hoped with light. She whispered to herself each day, "I will not remain here forever. I will become a lawyer and I will rise." But not everyone saw her light as hope. To her aunt Chioma, Angela was nothing but a burden. To her cousins, she was the orphan girl, a target for mockery. Even her uncle, who once greeted her with warmth, began to withdraw, his silence like a blade sharper than words. As the elders say, when the drum beat changes, the dancers must adjust. Angela did not know that the drumbeat of her life was about to pound into chaos. Each day began before the cock crowed. Angela would rise, sweep the compound, fetch water, and rush to the market. She would walk long miles under the sun, her voice calling out, sweet oranges, come and buy." Some passersby pitied her, some ignored her, others heckled ruthlessly, squeezing her small hands of every coin. Many days, she returned home with aching legs and only a few coins to drop into Auntie Chioma's waiting palm. "Is this all you sold, you useless child?" her aunt would hiss, sometimes slapping her head. Still, Angela endured. She remembered her mother's words, "Patience cooks the toughest yam." She believed, somehow, her yam would one day be soft enough to eat. Her cousins, Chike and Adeze, were not spared the poisons of their mother's tongue. They treated Angela like a servant. "Angela, wash my clothes," Adeze would order. "Angela, polish my shoes," Chike would sneer. If Angela refused, they threatened to report lies to their mother. Slowly, the house became a cage, each corner echoing with commands, insults, and laughter at her pain. And yet, when no one was looking, Angela opened her small box of books. At night, by the dim light of the lantern, she read aloud in whispers, repeating words, practicing debates with invisible opponents. Her heart clung to hope, but hope alone cannot fight hunger. One evening, the house erupted in chaos. Auntie Chioma stormed into the compound, her face twisted in anger. "Where is that girl, Angela?" she screamed. Angela rushed forward, her heart pounding. "Yes, Mama Chioma." Auntie Choma held up a missing necklace. My gold chain is gone, and you are the thief. Angela's eyes widened. No, I did not take it, I swear. I have never touched your things. But Auntie Choma slapped her hard across the face. Liar! Since you came here, misfortune has entered this house. You think because you are an orphan you can steal from me? Her uncle, Obi, stood by silently. His face clouded. He did not defend her. Her cousins jeered, their eyes gleaming with triumph. Angela fell to her knees, tears streaming. Uncle, believe me, I am not a thief. My parents raised me better. Please, don't do this to me. But Uncle Obi turned his face away. As the elders say, when the truth has no witness, lies wear the crown. That night, Auntie Choma dragged Angela's small box of clothes and books and flung them outside the gate. Out of my house, you shameless thief. Let the streets teach you what hunger is. The gate slammed shut. The echo rang like a drumbeat of finality. The moon was her only companion that night. Angela sat by the stalls in the market square, clutching her box, her stomach empty, her eyes swollen from tears. Rats scurried nearby, dogs barked, and the cold beat into her bones. She thought of her parents, of their promise, of her lost home. She whispered through tears, Papa, Mama, why did you leave me here? Why am I alone? But the nights gave no answer. Days passed. She survived by begging for scraps, sometimes helping market women carry baskets for a few coins. At night, she called beside shuttered stalls, praying for safety. Many mocked her. Some pitied her, but none offered her shelter. As the elders say, when the fire dies, even the closest hands refuse to warm themselves with the ashes. One fateful night, Angela lay near a row of closed shops when a cry pierced the air. Help, thief! Somebody help me! 2 men had cornered a woman trying to snatch her purse. People scattered, too afraid to intervene. But Angela, weak and small as she was, could not stand by and watch. She leapt up, grabbed a broken bottle from the ground, and rushed forward with a scream. The thieves, startled by her sudden bravery, fled into the darkness. The woman trembled, clutching her purse. She turned to Angela, astonished. My child, you saved me. Who are you? And why are you here at this hour? And for the first time since her parents' death, Angela told her story. Her parents' love, the accidents, her uncle's betrayal, the false accusation, the streets. She spoke with tears streaming down her face, her voice breaking under the weight of her pain. The woman listened, her face softening with each word. When Angela finished, silence hung heavy in the night. Then the woman placed her hand on Angela's shoulder. My name is Madame Rose. From tonight, you will not sleep on the street again. Come with me, child. You will not die in the dust. As Angela followed Madame Rose into the unknown, her heart quivered with fear and hope. She wondered if this was another trap or another disappointment. But the warmth in the woman's eyes felt like sunlight after a long storm. She clutched her small box tighter, whispering to herself, maybe the gods have not forgotten me after all. Little did she know that this night was the turning of her destiny. They say the river that forgets its source will dry up, but sometimes the source of your life is not where you were born. It is where you were found. For Angela, that source was Madame Rose. The very night Angela followed Madame Rose home, her life began to change. Madame Rose was a wealthy trader, a woman whose heart was larger than her purse. She had no children of her own, but she had mothered many who came broken, lifting them until they could walk on their own. When they reached her compound, Madame Rose said softly, Child, you are safe here. You will eat, you will sleep, and you will dream again. For the first time in weeks, Angela ate a hot meal without fear. She slept on a soft mattress, not on the cold floor of a market stall. That night, she wept, not tears of sorrow, but tears of gratitude. The next morning, Madame Rose asked Angela what she wanted most in life. "To go to school, ma," Angela whispered, "to become a lawyer so I can speak for the poor, just like my mother always wished." Madame Rose smiled. "Then, a lawyer you shall be." Within days, she enrolled Angela back in school. Angela, though older than some classmates, burned with determination. She read by lantern. Late into the night, she studied not just to pass, but to conquer the shame her uncle had poured upon her. Her teachers were amazed. Her classmates respected her. Soon, her name was on everyone's lip again. Angela the Brilliant, Angela the Fearless. As the elders say, the child who has been beaten by rain values the shade of a tree. Angela valued education more than life itself. Years passed. Madame Rose stood by her like a rock. She guided her through secondary school, then university, and finally law school. Each stage was like a mountain, but Angela climbed with steady feet. At her graduation, she stood tall in her black robe, tears filling her eyes. She remembered her mother's words, "Your tongue must defend the weak." She remembered her father saying, "A child who learns to read will one day feed those who till." She whispered, "Papa, Mama, I did it." By the time Angela became a lawyer, her name echoed not only in her village, but in cities beyond. She took up cases for widows, orphans, and the poor. She became known as the Lioness of Justice. One day, news reached her village. Uncle Obi's son Chike had been arrested for fraud and was facing prison. Panic swept through the family. They needed the best lawyer to save him, and everyone had one name on their lips: Angela. Uncle Obi did not know. He had heard of the Lioness of Justice, but did not know she was the orphan girl he had once thrown into the streets. A meeting was arranged, and on the day of the meeting, Angela walked into the room, dressed in her lawyer's robe. Her uncle's jaw dropped. His hands trembled. His eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. "Angela," he whispered, his voice breaking. She stood tall, her face calm, her eyes steady. "Yes, uncle, the same Angela you once called a thief, the same child you threw into the night." Auntie Chioma, pale and shaking, covered her face with shame. Chike lowered his head. Uncle Obi fell to his knees. "Forgive me, Angela. I was blind. I wronged you. Please do not repay me with bitterness." Angela's heart ached, but she remembered the proverb her father once told her. "The tree that refuses to shade its enemy, it's not wise. It burns itself with pride." She lifted her uncle gently. "Uncle, I forgave you the night I left your house. Blood is not always family, but I will not let your son suffer. I will defend him, not because of you, but because justice must be served." Her words struck everyone like thunder. In court, Angela fought fiercely for justice, proving her cousin's case was a trap of circumstance rather than evil. The boy was freed, and the family bowed their heads in shame and gratitude. And so, Angela's life became a testament that resilience is stronger than betrayal, that love can be found outside of blood, and that destiny cannot be buried by cruelty. Her uncle bowed before her, but she did not gloat. She only smiled, for the lioness had no need to prove she was strong. Thank you for watching this story to the end. What touched your heart most? Was it forgiveness, resilience, or the truth that family is not always by blood? Share your thoughts in the comments, and remember, help us grow by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it with others so more people can discover stories like this one.